All right, welcome back to another Weekend No Show. We are in the house, and I'm here with my boy CL Smooth. What's up, man?
What's good, fellas?
And of course, the insidious LAT. How you doing?
What's up, fam?
Yeah, guys. So, as you know, other shows they get scared. They don't want to talk about some topics or some things that they don't want to get into because they don't have what it takes. But not here at the Weekend No Show. We talk about anything. We're willing to go anywhere and do anything, and that's why in this episode we're going to talk about one of the most contentious topics ever, and that is, can Superman beat the Hulk? How and why? And let's just get into it. Smooth, what do you think, man? What do you think?
Well, as the resident comic book expert here on the Weekend No Show, here's my initial thoughts.
Some
I think it's
BS,
actually,
man.
I,
I'm the comic expert here. What is this shit?
I think it's actually quite racist against my green brother, the Incredible Hulk, to say that some other white man could beat his ass.
What is
Um,
this shit?
I'm very disappointed in you, JG, that you would say that. Just another instance of the man trying to keep the brothers down, man.
Trying to have a serious You play the race card, man. The race card.
You know what's interesting? So my understanding is that Superman, his strength and speed and his abilities come from the fact that he was born on a planet with different gravity than Earth. So a much stronger gravity, right? It exerts more pressure on the body. So his bones and his muscles and everything are so much stronger just simply by him living and breathing on that planet. When he came to Earth in a much weaker gravity, he's able to do the things he can do. Is that accurate?
That was the first explanation of Superman.
Okay. And then, the Hulk, it's interesting because it's like the Hulk is so big and ferocious and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of look at it like Superman has all that power packed into a more dense space. So he could actually be more powerful than the Hulk. But I think the key thing is not even their strength. I don't know that Hulk really knows how to fight. And I think that was demonstrated. I don't know if it's canon or not, but in the Infinity War saga, where Thanos whooped that ass, man,
Yeah,
you
he
know,
did whoop that
in,
ass.
in, in hand-to-hand combat. So I think if Hulk would learn some fighting skills, maybe he should talk to Captain America, man. He might stand a better chance against Superman.
Okay. Okay. Well, so LAT, what do you think?
All right, so as the resident comic expert of this team,
Wait,
let
hold
me
on,
go.
hold on, hold
Wait,
on, hold on.
no. Some more BS, man.
So, but I have some caveats. So, depending on which Hulk we're talking about, and depending on which Superman we're talking about, it can go either way. But I'm generally speaking, I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm Team Soups, only because I think Soups has a couple of powers. Now, if we're going, blow for blow, it could be either one, depending on which Hulk and which Superman we're going with. If we're just having a brawl. But again, depending on which one of the Supermans was one of the Supermen. He was super intelligent as well, and so in that sense, kind of like what you said, CL. Uh, he knows better. He knows pressure points and things like that. And more importantly, it's funny because I was just watching. What was I watching? I was watching Superman Unbound. I think it was Unbound, where what was the name of the guy? Manchester Red or Manchester Black. Him and Superman versus the Elite. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. But it was Superman versus the Elite, and Superman basically lobotomized this guy. He used his X-ray vision, and he went through this guy's retina up into his brain. And that is the kind of thing that the Hawk can't fight. The Hawk can grab Superman and squeeze the fuck out of him, but then Superman, does what he did to Manchester Black and just lobotomizes him. And so in that sense, I'm just like, well, if we're talking about that Superman versus, not the genius Hawk, because there's also a genius Hawk, the Banner / Hawk hybrid or whatever. And John can probably get more into that. JG can get more into that. But just generally speaking, I think Supes just has some. Hawk is, generally speaking, Hawk is all brute versus Superman, who's also intelligence, but he also has heat vision. He also has cold vision. He can also survive in space, depending on which Superman we're talking about. So, generally speaking, I'm going to go with Team Supe. What do you say, JG?
Okay. So, we just need to let it be known I'm the comic expert here.
So I don't know about that.
So, we don't care what anyone else says. I'm the comic expert. So, as the comic expert, I would say if we have our classic versions of Hulk versus Superman, classic Hulk smash Green Hulk, and then we have our classic Superman. To me, unfortunately, I would say Superman must win because he has way more powers, and his super speed is the key here.
Yes.
Whereas Hulk can eventually outclass him in punching. If they were going to trade punches, Superman's going to lose eventually because the Hulk is going to keep getting angrier and angrier, and the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. And there's going to come a point where Superman won't be able to deal with that. But that's only if he let it get that far. Now, if he hits the Hulk 100 times in 1 second, then that's something the Hulk can't really deal with. Right. And actually, I've seen there was a Marvel and DC crossover. Was it the late 70s or maybe even early 80s? It was a Superman Spider-Man where the Hulk was rampaging in New York. Superman showed up and he was knocked around by the Hulk. But when he was able to kind of plant himself, he was able to withstand the Hulk's assault. And he found that there was some kind of device on the Hulk that was causing him to rampage. So he quickly used his super speed and snatched it out from behind the Hulk's ear, which caused him to, calm down. So we never got to see that fight continue. And then later on in the 90s, when they had the literal Marvel versus DC. So it was Hulk versus Superman, and it was intelligent Hulk.
Okay.
And we saw that he didn't win that one. He tried to get a sucker punch in on Superman, but it just he understood that this guy just had too many powers. As a matter of fact, there was another situation where I believe Batman had been captured and by the X-Men, and Superman kind of came to get him, like, hey, give me this guy. And the X-Men start to realize that we can't do anything to this guy. And as a matter of fact, he punched out the Juggernaut with one punch.
He literally has all of our powers.
So he punched him out. And I feel like Hulk can win. He has the potential to be infinitely stronger. And then on top of that, in recent days, we've learned that the Hulk cannot die. He cannot die. So even if Superman did lobotomize him, then I don't think that would take, because.
But how would that work? Because isn't lobotomy when they take out part of the brain?
Yeah. So he burn out part of the guy's brain. Is that what the deal was?
Yeah. I forget the actual term, but the part of the brain that controls sort of thought or the part of the brain that stops us from being vegetables.
Well, and if we look at the Doomsday situation with Superman, that was essentially a Hulk battle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just going to say Doomsday just beat the shit out of Superman.
Yeah, and Smooth, I don't know if you know who Doomsday is. Did you have any understanding of that situation?
I didn't see that battle, but I know who the character is.
Okay, the character, you would have seen the character in Batman v Superman at the end. I believe that was Doomsday, right? And then, in the 90s, they had a whole Death of Superman thing, and this character, Doomsday, showed up seemingly out of nowhere no one could stop him. And Superman battled this creature, this rampaging creature, to the death and was killed. And the thing had no intelligence. It was just a rampaging monster. And so he got beat down by it. So if we were to assume that that's a stand-in for the Hulk, well, I guess then it always struck me because when I read it, I was like, well, Superman has all these powers and he's sitting here trading punches with this thing.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
That's always been an issue with me. I'm like, why does Superman bother fighting anyone? Why doesn't he just get it over with? Just grab, why doesn't he just grab people, take them up to space, and, let them pass out for lack of air, or the myriad of things he could do, and yet it's like, you know what, I'm gonna go punch for punch.
And it's funny you say that because there was in 1984 or 5, Marvel tried something. It was called the New Universe. They wanted to, similar to like how later on they had the Ultimate line of heroes. Now they did something New Universe. They had nothing to do with the regular Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, none of those people. So then there was this character called the Star Brand who was essentially Superman. And at one point he ended up fighting this dude who was even stronger than him. He could not stop this dude, but the guy could not fly. So, and he told Star Brand, look, you can't stop me. I'm stronger than you. Nothing can stop me. And Star Brand said, you know what? You're right. Nothing can stop you. So he took the guy, flew him up, into orbit, and he's taking these horrible blows as he's flying the guy up into space, and he just let him go.
Yeah.
And he just let him go. And the guy just, went off sailing into space. And that's what Superman's do. You're right. He should have just done that.
Yeah. But so, all right, let's go back. So let's say Supes can't use his some of his his cooler powers. Can't use his heat version. He can't use his cold breath or whatever. But it's the intelligent Superman. It's the Superman with with the robots and all that stuff. Who's super, and it's Banner Hawk. It's smart. Because isn't Banner supposed to be? I don't know. He's at least top 10 in terms of intelligence.
He's probably number 2.
Oh wow, really? Above? Who's above him? Richards.
Except, see, the way I see it is that Banner is easily as intelligent as Richards, but whereas Richards has his whole life to do all this stuff, Banner's been turning into a monster for years and years and years, so he doesn't get to keep up on this stuff.
Okay, so let's say we got that Hawk. We got Banner Hawk versus super intelligent Superman. Does the outcome change then?
I think so because that Hulk
ultimately wins. Yeah.
Well, I don't think the Hulk would win that one. I think that it's been shown in issues of the Hulk. There was a issue where Banner was in control, and the leader confronted him, and then the leader used to have these androids that were essentially made of like silly putty, and the Hulk would just smash these things to pieces eventually, but Banner couldn't do it. He was angry. He started beating up these androids, but eventually he started thinking, what are these things made of? Wow, how did the leader make these? And he started to cool off. And then eventually these creatures just overwhelmed him and immobilized him. And the leader was disgusted, like, oh God, he's like, the rampaging Hulk, he would have just smashed and smashed and smashed until there was nothing left to smash. But not you. He's like, you can't do that because you have to actually think. And I think that getting hit, again, 100 times in a second by Superman, Banner's probably going to be like, oh man, what am I going to do? And then it's already too late. He's already been hit 200 times.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I took over your hosting, but you're bringing up some interesting things for me.
No, by all means, yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that in terms of battles, comic book battles, intelligence is actually it's a handicap
for the Hulk.
Just for the Hulk. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it blocks him from, he gets angrier and he gets stronger. And when Banner is in control, he can't do that.
Right.
Why is that the mechanism? Did they ever talk about that in his comic history of why is it that anger is the trigger to more strength?
As a matter of fact, they do talk about that, and there's a reason there's so many Hulks. Now, the Hulk that we see that everybody knows, the rampaging Hulk smash, that is Banner as a child. Banner was abused as a child, and this is his rage and anger coming out. And this is the power that he never had when he's a child. And he gets angrier, he gets stronger. And there's other Hulks, though. There's Gray Hulk, who is like horny Banner from college who never got any action. And he's very, very irritable.
Gray Hulk's a simp.
Gray Hulk. He was an angry simp. But yeah, that, and somebody, I forgot, actually it might have been a writer named Bill Mantlo. He was the one who brought up Banner being abused as a child by his father. And then I believe that Banner killed his father after his father killed his mother. So he had to live with that. And then later on, after the Gray Hulk emerged, all of his personalities were fused. So there's two Hulks that have Banner's intelligence. Before that, there was the Hulk's body but had Banner's brain in it, and they were considered separate people. Then later on, all those personalities were fused, and they realized you guys are the same person. And then it was just a giant Hulk who had Banner's face, as you saw in Endgame.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the amalgamation of all the Hulks.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why in She-Hulk, I don't know if you guys saw She-Hulk.
No.
Yes, I saw it.
Yeah. Well, She-Hulk kind of took a lot of hits for being woke, and she's telling him how she's doing everything better than him. She's had to deal with being catcalled and being mansplained to, and that's why she can deal with her anger. And it was like, oh boy.
Oh my goodness, how has she survived?
Yeah, how has she survived when this guy's been abused and hounded and hunted, for most of his life? So yeah, it was.
Can I just say this is a bit of a tangent? Can I just say that Tatiana was hotter when she was in Hulk form to me?
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, that She-Hulk was
Which
sexy.
is weird. I was
she?
just like, I've always thought that actress was attractive, but when she did, I was like, ooh, hey.
I think we all were doing that when she was doing the twerking with Megan Thee Stallion. It was like, oh shit. Let me rewind this.
Yeah, sorry to go off on the tangent. But.
Yeah, but no. I mean, these comic battles can just rage on. Like there's the Planet Hulk, right? Planet Hulk, right, where he gets sent off to another planet. He comes back. He's so angry that this is a Hulk who can survive in space.
Right.
He's that powerful that nobody can stop this guy now. And that's the level of strength. What do they call him? The world breaker Hulk.
Right.
So there's definitely the possibility of Superman being outclassed in strength. He can't rely on that.
Right. So didn't Superman get sent to a similar planet? Then he gets sent to like the War Planet. I'm thinking more Justice League. That was Superman, right? He got sent to the War Planet.
War World. Yeah.
War World, and got his monkey ass kicked.
Yeah, he got his monkey ass whooped.
So,
but those are kind of fake.
Okay. Well,
no, I mean, not fake in the sense that it didn't happen, but fake in the sense that it's always like, oh, it's a red sun. I don't have my powers. Oh man.
Okay. All right. So I'm saying that's a situation where the Hulk would definitely win, no matter, especially we're talking World Hulk versus War Planet Superman, and that's definitely a Hulk.
Yes.
A Hulk, victory.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Those are very similar, I guess, storylines. I guess.
Yeah,
So if you're building a team, then who do you pick first if you can only choose one?
Superman.
Yeah, I was gonna say Superman. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You don't mess around with the Hulk if you don't have to.
right. Yeah. Yeah, he's a wild card.
Yeah, if he's there, then so be it. But if I'm roll with Superman. And then it's like when you have Superman, then you're like, do I really need these other mofos? And Batman's like, yeah, let me do this. Like, yeah, Batman, why don't you take a day off, man? Just take the rest of the afternoon.
And this could be something we talk about later. But here's the thing about Batman. Batman literally has no powers, and I'm just like, why do any of these people even listen to Batman? It's
Man, I like Batman.
No, Batman's the man. Batman's the man. He has contingency plans against against everyone in the Justice League. So he's not to be trifled with. But also, Batman could easily be, bested by anybody in the Justice League.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like he's given a lot of what do they call it? They say he's being jobbed out. Like when he beats someone, they say all his fights are jobbed out.
Yeah.
I don't know. The human characters that don't have superpowers, like Batman, I respect because it's like that ethos of maxing yourself out. Whatever you're born with, try to max yourself out, and so I respect that. He doesn't have like a superpower crutch to lean on.
Hey, let me take this a different way though. I'm gonna take this a different way. We're gonna do a 2-for-1 here, guys. 2-for-1. Okay. Batman versus Captain America.
Oh.
Okay. So smooth. What do you think?
Oh, see, Captain America does have some superpowers, does have the leadership qualities. I think he has the military, battle strategy. One-on-one, I'm taking Captain America. But if you're talking about to execute a plan or to win a situation or whatever, I'm gonna take Batman. I think he has a higher level of strategy that goes beyond just the combat. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So I'm gonna go with Batman in that one.
Okay.
Close.
What about
close
you,
call.
LA? Yeah.
I too will say Batman, and mostly because, on the rare occasion he slips out of it, but much like Superman, Captain America is the penultimate Boy Scout, whereas Batman will fight dirty. Batman gives no fucks about, Batman's end game is to stop you. And for that reason, I give it to him. Cap has, super strength. But once you take that out of the picture, which I think Batman could, Batman just won't engage him in any feats of strength, then it just becomes like who's smarter or who's willing to, Batman will throw dirt in your eye. I don't think Cap will. And for that reason, I'm gonna go Batman.
It's dirt from his utility belt. He has a pouch with dirt in it.
Oh, here's a question. Here's to our loyal fans that we're here with our first episodes, and we criticize Batman for not dealing with Joker more effectively. How would Captain America deal with the Joker?
Captain America would deal with the Joker the exact same way. He would stop his immediate threat and then drop him off at the crazy house. And that's exactly what he would do.
And let him start all over again.
And let it start all over again.
Word.
Even though it has been shown that to stop an immediate threat, Captain America will kill. He is a soldier.
Right. He has killed, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely has.
In fact, his body count is high. He killed hella Nazis.
Yeah, he was really taking them down. See, to me, when I look at it, Captain America, it's kind of a fallacy where they just feel like Captain America can never lose. He just can't lose. And honestly, if you look at it, guys, this is from what Marvel says. This isn't what I say. Captain America does not have superpowers. Captain America is the epitome of what a human can be. He is not superhuman, and that's according to them. not me. And I'm like, well, how come nobody else can ever do this without that super soldier serum then? But
Right.
So, but that's what they're saying. He's not superhuman. But to me, just like you were saying, Smooth, I mean, Batman's intelligence and his strategy, his stratagems and such go beyond what Captain America was able to do. Like if we look at, he got into World War II after Pearl Harbor. He had to go through the program. He had to become Captain America. He fought in the war for maybe 2 years before they dropped the bomb. Him and Bucky were blown up, and he was trapped in the ice. So he had a year and a half, 2 years of World War II stratagems. That does not make him a strategy expert today, you know, and Batman has more experience than this guy. You know, and that's one of the things that upsets me when Captain America beats someone. Like, he can't beat Spider-Man. Come on. That's ridiculous. He can't beat Wolverine. Wolverine's like 200 years old. He has experience upon experience upon experience. And in my opinion, not only, like, if Batman's fighting this guy, he's not going to trade punches with this guy. He's going to immediately realize this guy's stronger than me. Okay, right. Time to back off and use some of my ranged weapons. And I mean, he fights Bane, he fights Killer Croc. He's not going to sit there and try to wrestle with someone who can punch through a brick wall. So, yeah. And I think that he thinks quick. He's going to immediately size up Captain America. This is who this guy is. And I could take him down. And there's actually been, you know, if we look at, again, the Marvel versus DC, that was a popularity contest. You know, and Batman won, and they kept putting in stuff like, oh, I really don't think I should have won that, but I did win it. And there was a comic that was called, Batman and Captain America, done by John Byrne, you know, who's one of my favorite creators. And it was set in World War II. So Batman and Robin meet Captain America and Bucky. And there's a point where Wayne is manufacturing, you know, the weapons and such. And then Captain America is assigned, Steve Rogers is assigned there. He shows up and he has something on Bruce. I can't remember exactly, but he had something on Bruce, like knowing he was either Batman or some kind of spy. So Bruce jumped out to attack him and they were fighting. And Bruce kept saying something like, I think this guy has a slight edge on me. And finally, again, he's Batman, so he realized, you must be Captain America. That's the only person who could be doing this. So they squashed it. But to me, Captain America, he gets the serum. He becomes Captain America. Batman spends his entire life training, going around the world, learning these different disciplines, honing his body. And I just think that he could take Captain America. So I think we agree on that.
So here's something which I know someone has already brought up years ago, back when they originally did Endgame. But you know what I thought was very interesting was Hulk got his ass handed to him by Thanos, and then, you know, toward the big final scene, Cap's like holding Thanos's hand and stopping him, and I was like, get the fuck out of here. I don't know if you guys remember that. You know, it was like the final scene before Thanos finally said, fuck this, I'm tired of playing with y'all. But, you know, there was that you're
talking about Infinity War, right?
Yes, Infinity War. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where Cap's like, you know, holding him like,
yeah. I remember
like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, why doesn't he just pluck that little man out of the way?
Yeah, they were always very weird with the power levels because Thor is easily, you know, he's a Hulk level person. He can fight the Hulk, obviously. Him and Loki fight. And then if you looked at Loki's show, Loki's, you know, doing hand-to-hand combat with regular humans. Like, what?
Well, was he? I mean, I don't know this, but I just assumed in Loki he was depowered.
He doesn't have any powers. He's just that's just who he is.
It's the power of mischief.
See, that's one thing too, where they're like, "Oh, superpowers." No, he doesn't have superpowers. He's a freaking frost giant and that's just his level of strength.
Oh,
it's not a superpower.
I keep forgetting he's not really a god. He's not the god of mischief. He's just a frost giant. Yeah, yeah. I always
He's
forget
not an
about that.
Asgardian. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Got it. I always forget about that. So, but yeah, I would. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd have to go Batman over Cap. Just, but just generally speaking, it hurts me to pick Superman over Hulk. I don't usually go for the quote unquote the Boy Scout superheroes just because I find them boring. But
Yeah. I mean, I would like
we're
to go with
talking
Hulk.
power. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking power. I'm just like, damn it, I gotta give it to Supes, even though I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of truth, justice, and the American way. Because that shit hasn't me at all.
I'm a fan of the idea of Superman. I realize that, if you look at the Christopher Reeve Supermans, I like the first two. Actually, you know what? That third one was stupid as hell, but whatever, Richard Pryor. But I like that. But the comics themselves, sometimes they're just so lackluster. It's very difficult to get into. And I don't know. I think when a character is that powerful, it either comes down to kryptonite or it comes down to him being depowered somehow.
Right.
And it gets old.
Or magic.
Magic, yes.
It's just like, the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, really, dude? Magic is I'm like, sleight of hand ruins you.
Yeah. There was a Superman where he met the aliens from the Alien franchise. Okay. And of course, he couldn't have all his powers, and it's like, oh my God, this is terrible. Because normally they couldn't do anything to Superman. But he's like, oh, right. My powers are fading. Oh, of course they are. Sure. This would be a very short comic.
Do you think that maybe comics in general and movies would benefit from, at various occasions in their history, these comics have gone through like total resets of their cast and their stories and stuff like that? Do you think they would benefit from like a reset in terms of character power levels? Maybe bringing everyone down a couple levels so that it's still superhuman in cases, but it's not so so fantastic that it's kind of like, damn, okay, it doesn't make sense for Superman to get beat. How do you even write a story about it? You know what I'm saying? Would they benefit by that, or do you think they're doing it the right way by having these kind of way overpowered type of characters?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't traditionally worked out. If we look at DC, the Supermans, Wonder Womans, those are the god level people, whereas the Marvel are normally powered down compared to them. But if we look at 1986, I believe, when they revamped Superman, and this was not a Superman who could fly in space unaided, and he couldn't travel in time under his own power. He couldn't go the speed of light, but he was inarguably the most powerful hero. That meant everyone else's power had to reset to now be under Superman. So even the Flash, like, he was set to the speed of sound essentially, instead of running at the speed of light. And they tried that for a while, but it actually, over the years, the power started coming back. And pretty soon they were right back where they were. Like, this guy's moving at the speed of light and I'm traveling through time, and I'm going to move the planet Earth over a little bit, like, okay, right. works for me.
And would you say 5 years or so, both Marvel and DC, they do a reset, give or take, where DC definitely did it. I know they did it like just when I started to get into specifically the New 52, and it was starting to get good for me at least. And they're like, oh, you know what? Reset.
Well, what's interesting about that, man, is that Jeff Johns, who of course is kind of the guy in charge of a lot of their lines, DC Comics lines, he claims that DC Comics has never been reset. And he says everything is total bull, but he says that there's an unbroken line all the way back to Action Comics #1. And that's not true, but he keeps trying to say it's not rebooted. It's not rebooted because all that stuff actually happened. And it's like, well, that it doesn't matter,
Yeah. I guess the ultimate sort of crutch is that, well, it happened. It might have happened on another Earth, but it happened.
Right. They shunted off
So
to another Earth.
yeah, okay,
No,
whatever.
what was interesting about Superman? Now, Superman, when New 52 happened. Now, what happened in New 52 with Superman? He became liberal Superman. You know, they wanted to make everyone younger, and they didn't want Superman to be a father figure. So
Right.
Superman became younger, very liberal activist. You know, he's taken down slumlords and people like that, gun runners and people like that. And that didn't play very well. So then they had to take action to bring back, you know, Republican Superman. And
wasn't 52 Superman powered down?
at one point he was, yes. He had some kind of kryptonite poisoning that was blocking him from accessing all of his powers. So, and then he died. New 52 Superman died.
Yeah.
And then we discovered that the previous Republican Superman we had been reading about since 86, he was still alive, whereas all the rest of those people were dead, but not Superman. He was still alive. Him and Lois and his son, they were still alive. So then he kind of stepped in, and then they kind of merged him with New 52 Superman. But it was like, it just struck me. I couldn't help but see it, that boy, they didn't like that liberal Superman, did they?
They didn't like that Wonder Woman either. I mean, I guess she's sort of been liberal, but I remember there was that period where she was going around, stopping child slavery in Africa and all kinds of stuff like that. I remember uh, that was happening with Wonder Woman for a while. And then they're like, nah, Wonder Woman's a fucking beast. enough of this, her going over and saving women and whatnot. Let's make her the Amazon warrior that she's supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't normally mess with Wonder Woman, but there's a great series that's called Earth One, whereas the current heroes that we normally read about, Smooth, there's 52 Earths. That's why they call it the New 52.
Okay.
52 is a big number in DC. And so the 52 Earths, our heroes are normally on Earth 0. And everything else is a reflection of Earth 0, whether, and the further out you get, the more different it is. But whereas Earth 8, I believe, has Calvin Ellis, who's the black Superman based on President Obama. But Earth 1, they show in the diagram, Earth 1 is molten hot. This is a new Earth. And the heroes are very young. They're very new. So there was a Wonder Woman set there. It was very interesting. And normally you cannot pay me to read Wonder Woman. Come on, man. I'm not reading this shit. But this was, it was really good by this guy named Grant Morrison, who he is like hit or miss with me. It's either I love it or I hate it, man. And I'm like, man, he really made a Wonder Woman that really interested me. But that Wonder Woman only exists in stories that aren't like real. It's always their else world.
Right. So let me just say, not that I need to defend my reading of Wonder Woman, but most of my comics come from the library. There came a point where I had read everything, and the only thing that was left that I hadn't read was Wonder Woman. Not that there's anything wrong with reading it, but I was never a fan. But I also got to the point where I'm like, well, it's either Wonder Woman or read an actual book.
Well, let me tell you about Wonder Woman. Here's the thing about Wonder Woman, man, is that when someone says, "What is Superman about?" And you're like, he was sent from a dying world by his parents, and he's protecting this world because his world died, and he's going to do whatever he can to protect this world. And then Batman, and it's like he watched as his parents died. They were killed by criminals, and then he grew up and he wanted to defend other people. He wanted to get revenge on these criminals. This is a war on crime. And then they're like, "What is Wonder Woman about?" And then you're like,
she's a secretary of state. she's Themyscire's Secretary of State.
Yeah, it's like, what? She can't be summed up very well. It's not a powerful it's not powerful. There's not a powerful emotion behind Wonder Woman. There's a powerful emotion behind Superman, a powerful emotion behind Batman, but Wonder Woman is just kind of blah.
Yeah, she's just the emissary. She's like, you represent us. Go ahead and.
They should have put all the S&M stuff back in there, man, from back in the day. Like, back in the day, yeah, when it was like it was the lasso of obedience, not the lasso of truth, lasso of obedience. And then remember, she would lose her powers if she was bound by a man.
Yeah.
And also, I'm powerless. She's bound me. It's like that was some straight up S&M stuff. They need to throw that back up in there.
I'm surprised they haven't gone there, yet. But then again, I guess DC. I don't know DC that well, but DC, they've never really gone too far off. There's never been a DC Max, unfortunately. But it sounds interesting that if they could really like dig into some of the darker areas of these DC characters, I think that'd be I think it would go a long way in bringing up their popularity. I can't speak about their popularity in the comics, but I know Marvel's been kicking their ass for years in terms of movies and popularity, just sort of culturally. But I think if they delved into some of that darker stuff, it would go a long way in bringing them sort of back up as the top. Again, I might be wrong because I get all my comics from the library, so and that means I get them at least a year late. So
no, I mean you're right in the sense that the comics themselves, I mean, I guess number 1 and 2, whatever, it doesn't really matter because those numbers that those comics bring in are just a rounding error for Disney and Warner.
Right.
And I even saw something where Warner was, or who owns it now? Is it Verizon? I forgot who owns it.
I forgot. Someone bought Warner Brothers. Yeah.
I think it was Verizon where they were just saying that there's no superstars here. If you're not carrying your weight, you can be gone. So they might even just either stop publishing the comics and just farm it for the IP, or just license it out to Dark Horse or something. And now Dark Horse is going to publish these Supermans. We don't want to deal with this anymore.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that's probably where we should wrap this up, man, because we've had a pretty good comics discussion. So as a resident comic expert, which I think has been proven.
Thank you. I mean, dude, you don't have to keep complimenting me. We're cool, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I will be cutting that part out. I'll be cutting that part out in editing. But anyway, as a resident comic expert, I'm going to call this one. I'm going to wrap it up, call it a close. And the only winners and losers in this one are Superman, who's the winner, and Batman, who's the winner. So Marvel, unfortunately, got destroyed in this one.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, it's just too bad. Maybe we can come up with one later where a Marvel character can win. Be thinking on that, guys. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. It's another weekend no show. So please like and share and subscribe if you like this show, and I hope you did. Please let us know in the comments what you thought of our opinions and who would win. And we're going to go ahead and break out. Smooth and LAT say goodbye, guys.
Peace.
Peace out.